We'll carry on with lectures on Sabbath. The ideas are taken from my book, The Mystical Glory of Shabbos and Festivals. One can get it in my site, GlazersonBook.com or Amazon, Kindle. Very important, because one should know that beside prohibitions on Sabbath and so on, you have many beautiful ideas, as you saw already through the Hebrew letters of Sabbath. So now we are going to discuss the power of Shabbos, especially against the enemies of Israel. Amazing phenomena that you will see in laws of Shabbos. So the most important thing is that one should know what our rabbis tell us, that through the merit earned by observing Sabbath, redemption will come. And the connection really better to say, of redemption and Sabbath is understood through the writings of the mystical books. So I want to bring you a few interesting examples that you can see this connection of Sabbath, which really defends Jews from their enemies. Unfortunately, lots of them. So the most interesting one is in numbers of words of the Kiddush. Non-Jews who said Kiddush, sanctification, Friday night. So they start with the verses of Genesis, Vaychulu Hashamayim v'Haaretz. In fact, they start with Yom HaShishi, the sixth day, and then they start 3 verses, Vaychulu Hashamayim v'Haaretz u'chatzva'am, heaven and earth, were finished, God bless them, sanctify them. 35 words, which brings to the blessing of the Kiddush of Shabbat. Yeah? The blessing of sanctifying of the Shabbat, v'kadosh Elohim ha'shvi'i, God sanctifying the 6th day, bless them, and so on. Also 35 words. So you have 35 words in the verses of Yechulu we started with, and you have 35 words in the blessings of the Sabbath. 70, 70 important number. But in fact we have extra too, because when we started the Kiddush, you say Yom HaShishi, the 6th day, and then starting Vaychulu Hashamayim on the 6th day, everyone else were finished, and so on and so on. So the question, why 70? In ways, why 72, better to say. So, interesting idea which is brought, mainly based on Kabbalistic ideas. This is against the 70 nations of the world. Amazing. 70 nations, okay, today many, but the roots of all of them are 70, and those who are mentioned in Genesis, portion Noach, 70 nations. So, what is the connection? It's 35 and 35 and 70. Why 35 and 35? There's a beautiful idea brought by the Vilna Gaon about 70 bullocks which are offered on Sukkot. On Sukkot, the Jews in the temple brought 70 bullocks. Why? For the nations of the world. Amazing. You see, Jews also look after the 70 nations, the ones that will get blessings. So, 70 bullocks. Now how it goes, on the first day, 13, on second day, 12, on the third one, 11, and so on, up till coming to the last one. 7, so altogether, 13, 12, 11, etc., come to 70. Then, with the bullocks, which in Hebrew is Power is bullocks. Maybe it to do also with power, because the bullock is very strong, very powerful. So in my book, English, Hebrew source of languages, I show a lot of connection of Hebrew words and English. You can get it in my site, in Amazon, in Kindle. Hebrew source of languages. So, bullocks are brought, representing the powers of the world, the 70 nations, and together with the offering of a bullock, they brought another offering. In Hebrew it's called seir, goat, or seirizim. Simple mean a goat from the seir, from the goat. Some say it's she-goat or he-goat. Whatever it is, both are basically the same family, seir, but he-goat and she-goat. So it means some days you have seir, sometimes you have seirizim, the seir from the goat. So what are those? So, says the Vilna Gaon, seir represents the Edom. Because Esau was called Seir, and he was living in Seir. And Seirizim, especially the Izim, part in it indicate to the Arabs, Ishmael. So what is the idea? So says the Vilna Gaon, the whole nation of the world basically are connected with Edom and Ishmael, Christianity and Islam. And therefore, 35 bullocks were brought with the goat, with the seir, and 35 with seirizim, telling us that the 70 nations are divided to this 35 and 35, and this is 70. So what are the two words, Yom HaShishi, the 6 days where we start Yom HaShishi, Vayechol HaShamayim. So Yom HaShishi, the two words, represent the sources, the roots of the 70 nations, where are the Ishmael, the Arabs, Islam, and Edom, Christianity. So, this is the basis of the number 70 verse in the Kiddush, 35 and 35, and Ishmael and Edom. So interesting, if you will follow the verses in this portion that we read on Sukkot, in Pinchas, so really you will realize that on the first day, starting, we brought Seir, second day also Seir, and the third one we brought Seirizim, and the fourth one, again, Seir. So we'll have 35 and 35, I mean 13, 12, and then 10. Amazing idea. What is behind? To tell us that the Sabbath gives Jews the power, to stand or to fight, whatever it is, depends on the situation, against the nation of the world, who unfortunately, you can see, they don't like this so much. Anti-Semitism we find everywhere. Hatred to Jews, fighting with Jews, see all over. Keeping the Sabbath properly, sanctifying the Sabbath, defend Jews. And this has they managed to last up till today. Even going through terrible crusades and terrible tribulations, troubling, suffering that no nation could stand. No, many nations in the past disappeared. They could not stand this. Jews, by keeping the Sabbath, stick to the Torah, they were kept up to today. Amazing. So what you see clearly, as I said, in the 70 verse of the Kiddush, 72, we really put the basis to give Jews the strength, the power to stand against all those who are fighting against Jews. Now there are many of them, anti-Semites and so on. And this is really Shabbos, as we mentioned in the beginning. that through the merit earned by observing Sabbath, redemption will come. And redemption definitely is a result when Jews keep the Sabbath, they repent, we know quite well, then we have Messiah. Another interesting indications about the power of Sabbath to help Jews to fight against their enemies, and the enemy, the great enemy, is Amalek, the Amalekite. Amalekite, the Torah describes him, Reshit Goyim Amalek. He was the beginning of all those nations who fought against Israel, all that up till today, Iran, all these Nazis before, Crusades, all those are belong to this Amalekite. Amalekite also have meaning. The Midrash says Amalek is Am, a nation, who lack, who want to lick the Jewish blood. Amazing. In English, lack and lick goes together. In Hebrew, lack is lick. This was the bond. They want to destroy the Jews. You see the terrorists today, how cruel they are, those Arab terrorists, frightening. So, like beasts. They are beasts, really. And they want to lick the Jewish blood, to destroy them. Because licking the blood showing that they want really to go into their roots, to destroy them. Amazing. This is Amalek is. Amalek. And therefore, many nations are related to them. You know, it can be. Today are the Iranians, all these terrorists, and Hezbollah, and so on, who want to wipe out Israel. And in the past, it was the Crusade, it was the Nazis, Germany. So Amalekite change, you know. Amalekite is the evil force of the Satan, yeah, of the Samael, the evil force. And therefore it changed from generation to generation. Up till Messiah time, when it will be wiped out, disappear from this world, hoping soon should be. So, how can you see the power of Shabbos against those Amalekites? So Gematria. The Gematria, numerical value of the word Yom Shabbat, the day of Sabbath, come to 758, which is the same Gematria like Milchemet, the war, Amalek. Milchemet Amalek 758. And it's Shabbat. And we know it is very important principle that everything in creation have positive and negative, this against this. And it is both, for example, snakes, 358, Messiah, 358. Yeah, so it means you can see clearly this phenomena that positive and negative in the same Gematria. The Sabbath, Yom Shabbat, gives Jews the power to win if they will have war with Amalekites. How we can see this connection about Amalekites, war, fighting with Jews? We see in Genesis. Not in Genesis, in the Torah. In fact, it is already in Exodus. When Jews came out of Egypt, we are told, came the Amalekite and fought with Jews, with Israel. And the whole story there, Moses was sitting on a stone, lifting up his hands. Then Jews were winning. His hands were down. The Amalekite won. The idea, it is known, when the hands was up and Jews looked at it means they're strengthening their faith in God up in heaven. Then down means that they realized, they thought that they will be successful with weapon only without God. So interesting idea, but this was the first war with the Amalekites when Jews just came out of Egypt. So how could be? So our rabbis tell us in Tractate Sabbath and say the following. In the Torah, we have the story of Jews who desecrate Sabbath, Datan and Aviram. They desecrate the Sabbath, the whole story. They went out of the camp, they want to put manna to show that God was not right. The manna comes after. We know the story, the birds ate it. Whatever it is, but they desecrate Sabbath because they are not allowed to go more than 2,000 amot. whatever it is, immediately afterwards the Torah said, Vayavo Amalek, and Amalek came and fought with Israel. No, says the Rebbe. What is the connection? Why? What has to do with desecration of Shabbos? And Amalek said, yeah. Amalek had come to fight with Israel when Jews desecrated Shabbos. Unbelievable. Desecrating the Sabbath brings Amalek. Who knows? Today we have a government, heresy government, who allows the desecration of Shabbos, even if not, to allow transport on Shabbos, public transport, and against other laws of the Torah. So it's not surprised that the Iranian already ready with a bomb to fight with Israel. No, this is situation. We have to know what the Torah says. This is the truth. Yeah? The Torah was the blueprint of creation. Everything is there. And this is what the Torah says. You Jews desecrate the Shabbos, the Amalekite will come. Yeah, this is what is happening now. So, what we should do? You should keep the Shabbos. But the Satan is strong, what we can do. But this is exactly what you see today, the situation in Israel. The desecration of Shabbos is so severe, also you can see it in Gematria. The desecration of Shabbos in Hebrew is Chilul Shabbat. And Biat HaMashiach, the coming of the Messiah, both have the same Gematria. Biat Mashiach is 776, and Chilul Shabbat 776. Amazing that 776 was the year, Tafshin Vav, which could really, according to many indications, could be a day of redemption, a year of redemption, a time of redemption, whatever we say. Not interesting idea. But, no, why would delay the Messiah to come, Biat HaMashiach? Desecration of the Shabbos. Yeah, the Jews desecrate the Shabbos. The Shabbos is the basis of creation. It's written, the prophet Jeremiah said, Im lo briti, if not my covenant is Shabbos, chokot shamayim v'aretz lo samti, no word, no heaven and earth, no. Shabbos is the basis of creation, the basis of Israel, the existence of Israel. Now the Satan comes, the heresy, and they destroy the Orsim. In Hebrew, heresy is laros, to destroy. Maybe also connection between the English word heresy, which means heres, destruction. Yeah. All languages come from Hebrew. It was the source of all languages. You can see my book, as I said, Hebrew source of language. You can get it, Kindle, Amazon, Glazerson. That's why I'm reading it, very interesting. So, again, this against this. You desecrate the Shabbos, you delay the coming of the Messiah. So what will be? So the Rambam says, frightening thing, it says, if Jews will not repent, keep the Torah, no Messiah. So what will be? So says the Rambam, but God promised that Jews will do tshuva. How? So there is a Talmud tractate more than 2,000 years ago in Sanhedrin which says the following: if Jews don't do tshuva willingly, מעמיד עליהם מלך קשה כהמן, he will appoint a cruel leader against them like Haman, and he will decree what we see today, Amanai and Haman basically the same. Because the letters, according to the Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Kabbalist, the letter Haman, which is A, Mem Nun, represent very harsh judgment. Mem Nun from Ansepach, man. And this is exactly what we see here, everything from heaven, yeah. I wrote a whole book, What's in a Name, yeah, that names are from heaven. When God wanted people to understand with whom they are dealing, so they should check the name. Very interesting story. What's in a name? It was in Russian and Hebrew, different many languages. You can get in Kindle or Amazon.com in my site. But it's amazing to see it. So, clear indication that desecration of the Shabbos brings Amalek, and keeping Shabbos brings Jews, give Jews the power to overwin. So we see clearly that Shabbos has the power to give, which gives Jews the possibility to fight against their enemies. Amalek is basically the root of all their enemies, and all nations, unfortunately. There are some anti-Semites, such things. People who are against Israel. You see today, no doubt. So, what more we see on Shabbos, which clearly indicates that keeping the Sabbath helps Jews to fight against their enemies? So this is what I mentioned in other talk, that the 3 meals of Shabbos are against 3 things. The evening Shabbos save Jews from everything Messiah, morning from Gehenom, from hell. But the most important, interesting one is the 3rd meal. 3rd meal helps Jews to be saved from the fighting of Gog and Magog. Amazing. Yeah, there is deep reasons why the 3rd meal is against Jacob. So remember, the first meal of Shabbos evening is Isaac, morning is Abraham, and the 3rd one is against Jacob, and Jacob represents basically the source of Israel, of all Jews, 12 tribes, from which 70 people came went to Egypt. I mean, amazing. Gog and Magog is also number 70. Gog, Gimal, Vav, Gimal, 12, and Magog together, 70. Gog and Magog, 70. In fact, the Ari, Rabbi Isaac Luria says that it indicates that 70 nations, basics, are against Israel. Yeah. Against God. So Gog and Magog, this is the power of 70 nations who, again, want to destroy Israel. No, what will keep us? Eating the 3rd meal on Shabbos, which clearly indicates that Jews are like sanctifying the material. I mean, all the physical, materialistic things like eating and so on, they are done in Kedusha, sanctity, holiness. And this brings Jews to control those nations, which their base is materialistic. So, the 3rd meal of Shabbos is against Gog and Magog, and keeping it helps Jews. Basically the same idea. As we mentioned before, that Sabbath gives Jews the power to fight against their enemies. And unfortunately, this is what is happening now. That Satan feels that if Jews will do this, his end will coming. So this way, do everything, the Jews will desecrate the Shabbat. He appoints a government who, this is exactly part of their plan. Transport on Shabbat will be allowed, people can go out, Shabbat, desecrating Shabbat, and many things against kashrut, against the holiness, sanctity of food, whatever it is to do with this, they are doing again. So this is really the basic of the Satan. Unfortunately, Erev Rav, Erev Rav, mixed message. We are told in the Tikkunei Zohar that before Messiah, unfortunately, the rulers of Israel will be Erev Rav, which is against religion, will do everything to disturb Torah, Orthodox Jews. As we see today, exactly the troubles this government is doing to Orthodox Jews. So, it's so much more to discuss. I wrote so much more about the idea of Shabbos, the power of Shabbos, that you can see so clearly from the letters of Shabbos. Yeah. And this is really what we mentioned before. The letter Shabbos, Shin Bat, Shin. The letter Shin, which represents the 3 forefathers. And also, as we mentioned, Bat, daughter of Israel. So Shabbos is the day when Jews get the power of the 3 forefathers. And then if they have this power, easily they can fight against their enemies. It is very interesting that the letter Shin in Hebrew represent few things. The first thing is that Shin represent the fire shining, as we said, because the Shin, according to the book of formation related to Abraham, is a letter with which fire was created. This is a fire of holiness, of Kedusha on Sabbath that we have. Shin also represents the Shen. What is the Shen? The tooth. Yeah, the tooth. The shape of the Shin is like the Shen. What tooth represent? Power. Yeah? Shinei Reshaim Agadeh. When we speak about the power, we speak about teeth, because with teeth a man is able to break things, to digest. So it means the Shin, Shinaim, represent this. So the Shen represents also power. Yeah? Power. Light and power goes together. Everything we had on Shabbos. Shabbos enlightened Jews with the light, and at the same time it gave Jews the power to fight, to break their enemies. It's unfortunate today there are many. So you see so much behind Shabbos, it's so much more, really. You can read a lot more in my book, but it's now, in this short lecture, I try to indicate to you how powerful is the Sabbath, and how it's important to keep it properly, and how much one can get from keeping Shabbos, how much light, how much enjoyment, singing on Shabbos, have such meaningful things about which we are going to discuss next lecture, how important it is to sing on Shabbos. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir, to expression of singing. Yeah, there's a lot behind this. I wrote a whole book about the power of music, yeah, which is, you can read it, music and Kabbalah. Again, music, Kabbalah, Russian, English, Hebrew. You can get it also in my site, GlazersonBooks.com, or Kindles, or Amazon. But clearly shows you how much is behind this Shabbos that unfortunately so many are desecrating. So hoping that, as the Rambam says, the Torah promised the Jews will do Tshuva. You know what is Tshuva? If you take the main letter of Tshuva, Tav Shin Bet A, this is the letter of HaShabbat, the Sabbath. Sabbath is the source of repentance. If a man feels what is Sabbath, he feels the beauty of Sabbath, there's the inspiration that one gets on Shabbos, automatically he repents, he's doing Tshuva. From experience, I know that many seminars that I did, weekends, yeah, Shabbos is what changed people. When they felt what is the difference between enjoying Shabbos and enjoying a football match. But this is interesting what really one could see clearly. So, what I recommend to read my book and to get it, as I said, Kindles, GlazersonBooks.com, and hoping that really Jews will realize the importance of Shabbos and will not need now the bomb of Iran or the 150 missiles that they have on the north and the terrorists they have in the middle and rockets that they have on the south to bring people to repent. Let us do it willingly, realizing that only keeping the Sabbath, holiness, and also non-Jew Gentile have to keep the 7 laws of Noah. And the most severe one which they don't keep and is a cause of troubles, homosexuality, abortion, which is the most severe sins of the Gentiles are doing, and this is what brought us the flood, we said. The flood lasted 40 days. Why 40? It means that the rain which brought to the flood lasts for 40 days. The flood was... Why? So Rebbe tell us. Because God was very angry that those people caused him to create embryos, fetus, and to destroy after 40 days. 40 days already gives the embryo fetus importance. It is known medically and halachically. 40 represents 10 times 4, the 4 elements, getting to perfection. There's a lot of explanation. Also in Hebrew, embryo blood is 40. So, this was the flood. So, let us hope that the flood will not come now. Okay, there are floods. God said there will not be flood all over the world, but it will be. It will be in Japan, and this, in New Jersey, in Queens, unfortunately, people drown. Yeah. But the Medrash says, Homiletic says that next to the days of Messiah, big plague will be all over the world. So we know the expression plague is really all kind of plague. Not is written pestilence, but it's really all kind of plague. What we have today, yeah, also to bring up people to strengthen the belief in God, because it's an important condition for Messiah. Yeah. So we mentioned that two-thirds of the Americans believe that the corona and all these things are from God. They're very nice, but they should carry on, realizing there are 7 laws of laws that they don't keep. Yeah? Abortion and homosexuality, which is against the purpose of and the goal of creation. God created the world to be fruitful, not to enjoy in such a way and to destroy the power of creation. So interesting and important lecture, I think, especially for Jews, and to know more about my books. It is not only on Shabbos, it is about everything. It's the glory of Shabbos and festivals, Passover, all these things, everything you can get in my book. So, let us have a good Shabbos. Shabbos is coming in a few hours here in New York. In Israel is already Shabbos. So there are about many people, English speaking, all over the world, can hear this lecture and give it over. Because it's very important, especially for Jews, should realize how important to keep the Sabbath, which is the basis of creation and the basis of the existence of Jews.